Another few months have passed, and I'm here with a new coloring book tour. What better way to start autumn than to cover yourself under a blanket with a cup of tea or coffee? So let's dive into the different books. First up, I have Ivy and the Inky Butterfly from Johanna Basford, and I colored a few pages in this one. I recently did one that I called Enchanted Little Trinkets Room, and a lot of people thought this was a page of the coloring book Worlds of Wonder, but it's actually a page from Ivy and the Inky Butterfly. It was a fun but intense mixed media project. For example, for the background, I used watercolors as a base and then some pencils to smooth out all the harsh lines from the watercolors. Don't use too much water, just a tiny bit, and only do one layer at a time, and don't forget to blend the edges. I use watercolors in coloring books. I do get this question a lot. Is it okay for the paper? And as you can see, well, yeah, it's only a little buckled, but not too much. Especially when you go over it with colored pencils, the paper will flatten again. As for the pencils, I used a mix of different pencil brands: Prismacolors, Polychromos, Luminance, Derwent Pro Colors and Derwent Inktense. Yeah, I'm really trying my best to use all the art supplies I have. And the last thing I used on this page are some Tombow Jewel Brush markers. They are water-based, so they do not bleed through the page. Unless you use too much layers, then it can happen that they start bleeding through the page, but this is the exception. Then next I have this one here. I did a tutorial on how I colored these colorful bricks. It's also a combination of watercolors and colored pencils. I really like that because it just goes so much quicker for me than when I used to color with just colored pencils. I used some white Posca pen for the highlights and a black fine liner to exaggerate some of the shadows. And then this was a work in progress in my last video, and now I finished it. Well, finished. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this part, but I think if I do everything in blue, then it will overpower the page. So I kept it white, and maybe that's why it doesn't look finished yet, but yeah, for me I call it finished. Maybe if I come up with an idea in the future, I will grab this page again and color it or make something out of it. But for now it's considered finished. Yeah, you always know how that goes, right? What you consider finished today is not finished over a week or over a month when you look at your page again and you're like, oh, maybe I can add some more depth by adding more shadows or more highlights. And I think this is it for this book because, yeah, this one you already saw in my previous video. Then I have these ones from Rita Berman. This is her newest book. It came out last Friday. Hopefully I can edit this video pretty quickly, so if I say last Friday it still applies. But let's say it came out somewhere in the beginning of October. And this was actually her free digital page that you could download on her website. For this printed page, I used a combination of different colored pencil brands like Prismacolor, Polychromos, some Luminance, and Derwent Pro Colors. And that's it. No water mediums because the ink of my printer is not waterproof, unfortunately. And then this one is a scoop because I'm currently working on this. The coloring tutorial on how I colored the water is already up on my channel. I'll add a link so you can find it easily. And as for the crocodile, I'm still in the editing process of that one. But I will be uploading the tutorial in the near future, so you can color along with me. So I don't have to tell you everything about this page because you'll find a list of all the used materials in the corresponding videos. Next book is Luna from Maria Trolle, and you guys will recognize this page because I have a tutorial of this one up on my channel as well. It's still a work in progress and I don't know if I'm going to continue coloring it. It was actually only for YouTube video purposes that I wanted to find a flower and color it. Then next up I have this Halloween cutie from Sugar Sweet Art. He kindly gifted this to me and asked me if I wanted to color it and see if I like it. And I do like it. The pumpkin was done with the Tombow dual brush markers and then a few pencils for shadows, and all the rest is actually just Prismacolor pencils, and then I tried to do the swoosh thing with a Posca pen and some pencils. And then this is a book that I bought on my trip to LA. Well, it was actually a work trip, and at the airport I was just like browsing around in this little bookstore and I saw some coloring books, and I thought, well, I was looking for a souvenir, and then I thought, what better way than to treat myself with a coloring book. So I came across this book, Dream Garden from Mythographic, and it intrigued me, so I took it home with me. Once home, I started coloring this one. I used Copic markers for this page because I finally bought a book where the pages are not printed double-sided, so I can finally go wild with all my markers in this book. I've also used some glitters on this page on the dress, the flowers and the jellyfish. These glitters are called stickles, and it makes the page pop more and give it a little bit of oomph. Mermaids and Other Sea Creatures, pop manga from Camille Dego. I did this mermaid page back in May. This book is actually printed double-sided, and it was before I owned any other book that isn't double-sided, so I sacrificed the back of this page so I could test my Copic markers. But yeah, maybe if I go on top with colored pencils I can cover it up, but you have so many pages in a book, and honestly I can't do them all, so I don't mind losing one page because I had fun doing the other side. So back to the page, the fishtail I did with pencils, and this is actually gold paint, but you can barely see it. That's the sad part of using gold paint. It's really hard to capture on camera or in a photo. I actually don't like the background that I did here. It was better when I left it just white, like the bubbles uncolored. Maybe I'll try to fix it in the future. Well, just make something else out of it, because I really like how she turned out, but oh well. And then I also have a few new books. Well, we've already seen a few new books like Dream Garden, Luna and Meine Reise durch Afrika from Rita Berman, but I also bought these ones. But unfortunately I haven't colored any pages in it yet, so let me know in the comments if I should color in one of these. This one is Enchanted Castles, and then the two Disney books. Thanks again for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye!